Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's April 5th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and this will wrap it up for the week. No chart lessons on Friday, so this will be our last lesson for the week. Won't be back until Monday. And as you notice, I got a little throat problem today. I went to the ball game last night, a baseball game, and it got extremely cold. We got some unusual weather here, and between the cold and the noise and the hollering, I guess I have taxed my voice for the day. So I feel fine. I just sound horrible. So you'll just have to put up with me. But anyway, today was mostly a range. Was basically a range day. We broke. Here's your overnight high and your overnight lows are down here. And you notice we spent most of the day. We actually got a little above up here, which is not completely surprising considering we had such a rally yesterday. But you'd think the market would probably take a little bit of a breather after that move we had yesterday. So not completely out of the or surprising that we had a range day today, because that's generally, after a rally like that, sometimes you'll get a continuation the next day. And we did get a little bit of continuation. I don't think we're going to close. The market hadn't quite closed. It's around 3 o'clock. So let's just look at where we closed yesterday. We're going to still close up, it looks like, unless we really sell off here. We closed right here in here yesterday, and we're going to close way up here today. So we should close up, and like I said, unless this thing really sells off here, it's a possibility in the next 15 minutes we could be working on a leg down like this. So if that happens, we'll still close up. It won't be by a whole lot, but we'll still close up. So, but you can see the range across there. Let me back out just a little more. There you go. You can see it pretty clearly there. Turns out your highs, I was using these for your highs early on, but in the end they were just further up. You can see we turned down there a few times, but didn't really change anything. So I'm just going to leave it where it is. But I'm going to back out. We'll talk about the trades. Not a lot of them today. A little quieter. Still plenty of trades, but nothing like yesterday. But it was relatively straightforward today, I will say that. I tend to like range days when they're consistent off the highs and lows, because when it consistently bounces down here, it gets pretty easy to see what's going to happen. And when it consistently, but when the range moves around, so we got real tight right here, there's really, the range got pretty tight right across here, and then we move down, and then we come back and we went in a tighter range, and we drop down. This is maybe a 2-tier, but it looks like we really just kind of dropped down. And then we rallied, and then we went sideways. We dropped back down, went sideways, and we trended down. And this is a pretty nice trend here. I mean, we're getting some movement here, and this one back up. And this one was a pretty nice move up. And of course we were moving down here. So I mean, it's just, that's what happens on range days. It just goes back and forth from the highs to the lows. And you can see how the EMA points down a little bit, points up a little bit, but for the most part this is flat. This was a rally here, and then this was a pretty good sell-off here. You can see the EMA pointing down, and then another rally here, it starts pointing back up. So that should be pretty straightforward for most of you. But let me back out a little more. We'll talk about the trades and we'll wrap it up. I'm going to try not to spend too long today with my voice. Like I said, it doesn't really bother me. I just sound like Barry White again. Somebody told me one time I sound like Barry White when I get like this. But anyway, when I came in, we were kind of trading up, and then we just kind of went in this. Notice that there's a little trend move. We had one come down. Now we got one going up, and we had a close outside. We tried to go higher once. We tried to go higher twice, and then we turned down right there, and we did trend on down. I marked this one in green, even though you could treat it like a failed second entry long. This is not real clear right in here. Look at all the bars stacked up, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's just not really clear. We do have a break, and we don't have a new high in place. So there's a lot of reasons to maybe just skip that one, or to say that it's relatively aggressive. So I didn't mark that. I mean, I marked that one green. I didn't mark it red. But then we move on down. You get a little first entry. You move back up and turn down right off that high, and you get a big bearish bar. So that's a second entry short using our count methods. It's a double or triple test of this level right here. Notice we had a bar, then we had another couple of bars, then we had a couple more, and then so this is at least a double test. Probably you call it a triple test. And if you took this trade, you can ride this one all the way down. That was a nice, finally got a nice setup there. And that one came pretty quickly after the regular open. So it gives you a relatively nice trade right out of the gate. But like usual, it's almost always better to wait on that reversal pattern with the failed second entry long. And that doesn't come till here. Notice that high, you pull back first entry, you pull back second entry, it fails. Relatively bearish bar, lots of stem on the top. There's a little bit there, but that's still good enough for second entry, a failed second entry. Working down. So I like going short there. Another nice easy move. And let me show you something real quick, because I get this question occasionally and somebody asked it again recently. Notice that if you count this second entry here, it easily got a scalper's profit. So by the technical rules, the rule on our failed second entries is that it has to fail to get a scalper's profit, which is basically to be able to scalp out with 4 ticks, which really takes 6 ticks to do. So the market, when it breaks above here, has to move at least 6 ticks, or that's before it turns down, or that's a failure. But on a real volatile market, this is still a failure, because everything's moving further and faster, and you know, mostly it's moving further. It definitely it's moving faster too, but mostly, I mean, things are moving further than they normally would. So if this was a true reversal or second entry, you would expect it to move back higher again, and it didn't, and it turns down relatively quickly. So when it breaks lower there, you can still treat that like a failed second entry long. So I hope that's clear. The one thing you can learn that you need to understand about trading is nothing is written in stone ever. The rules we have they're not 100%, but they're about as close as you can get to having a set of rules that will keep you on the right side of the market most of the time. But the one thing about trading is it's never crystal clear 100% of the time. So if something looks like it's working and going to work, and it looks like something we like, it's probably going to, the end result is probably going to be what we're looking for. So in other words, even though this is technically by the rules not a failed second entry long, it's still 2 legs down with where you would expect now to get 2 legs up, and it fails and it turns down. I like going short right there. Just treat that like a failed second entry long. So I hope that's clear. We come down, we bounce, we finally we got to close outside of this trend line here, and this is really more sideways stuff. You might have even went for I didn't put it on here because it didn't really change anything, but you might have went at it about like this and said, hey, there's another, this is really sideways, and there's another little steeper trend line, and it's there, but it doesn't really get confirmed. On this next swing we break higher, but the one thing that might have helped you with too on this trade was it would have given you a little more incentive to want to go short there too, besides the other reasons we talked about, because that's the first break outside the trend line, and we're probably going to test, try to make a new low. So but we get a close outside. Either way you look at it, a move to a new low, and now it's bouncing. And pull back, we're working up, and you get a first entry, you make that second leg up, and you get a second entry, and it bounces, makes 3 higher. You got a low there, higher low, then there's your third higher low and your failed second entry short. Go long right there. Notice it goes up to that high, and then it just starts going sideways. So stay out of that right there. Nothing you want to enter there. Then we get 2 legs down. That bar is not really bullish enough. This one, I don't know why that's right there. It should be right there. This bar is not is too bearish, but this one has the same low, and it's like now you basically have a double bottom with matching lows, and so a break above that, I like it, and that's a second entry long, and that's a nice bullish bar that opened on almost its very low and closed on its very high. So runs up. There's actually, we kind of get up in here and we come back down, and there's really a failed second entry short right in here somewhere, but notice by the time it triggers, we're going sideways again, and just stay out of that. And we're just going sideways here, and then notice what happens. You make a little drop lower finally, come up, you get that first entry, you push through the EMA, you pull back, you get that failed second entry short, a bullish bar, it turns up, and it's right back up there. This is really kind of a midline almost. I'd rather, honestly, the way I'm looking at this is this was one channel and then it dropped in, or not a channel, a range, and it dropped down into another range. So, but this is basically could be a midline, and here's your low and here's your high. So it still works out all the same. So don't get caught up in that if that doesn't make sense. But anyway, there's your failure. That pattern has worked so many times, and what you would expect is prices will probably come back and test this. So that's a pretty good place to go long. And you might try to hold a runner right here. Generally, when it's real rangy like that, I'm not going to. But anytime you get a little failed break lower like this, that reverses, a lot of times that's an important low, or if it's out of the top, it's an important high. So you might have considered a runner right there. And if you had of, boom, off it goes. And this thing, you got a little short-term trend line. You can't really see it that well. I want it to be different than the other one just so they don't clash. You can see that one a little better there. And that was a nice trade. And that's a 26.57 all the way up. Just say you got out right in here somewhere. That's 9 or 10 points almost. So, but again, notice what happens. You move up, you come off the top, first entry, you come off second entry. There's second entry long right there. The reason that I made this one green and not blue is that we had already broken above. We broke above that and we were coming back, and this did close above it, but it's not a perfect. I mean, it's a bullish bar, so it meets the criteria, but it's not a perfect setup. I would like to see it at least close on its high, or I would have liked to seen this hold like it did here and gone higher. But it didn't. It just kind of was trading on both sides of that line, and so you don't really know, is it going to hold as support or is it going to hold as resistance? So there's a little bit of a question mark there. So that's why that one's green. And of course, we push on through. There is actually a failed second entry short here too as well. Or actually, it's right here. Notice you're moving up first entry, moving up second entry. But look how you're going sideways there again. You're getting stems on both sides. There's just too many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 bars there before it finally breaks higher. So just stay out of that. Just sit tight, be patient, because you'll probably get a better setup in a minute. Sure enough, it breaks higher, it fails, pulls back first entry, pulls back second entry, and you got a nice bullish bar. And that was another easy move there. And you might have drawn this trend line right here. It's kind of working down, and you close outside and move to a new low. Then it's 2 legs up, and watch what happens here. You make a new high, first entry long, pull back second entry long, and off it goes. And this one you had to be, again, look at how it's stacked up there, stems on each side. This is really a doji. So you had to be a little careful about that one. I really went back and forth about whether that one should be green. But the fact that this looked like a range day, and there's a good chance that this may be a failure, especially now that we have a close. outside of this pretty strong trend. We actually had a close outside the new high here, but this one's close. You know, you might could argue, is that a convincing close? Especially when you had one here, so you might have even, oops, wrong one. You might have even wanted to move that over, and you see it fits there. So that's something to think about. But so you didn't have in other words, what I'm getting at is you don't have necessarily a convincing close outside. So, and a lot of traders are probably going to look at that and say, well, we're probably going to make one more attempt to go higher. And look what you're coming down. First entry, second entry, bullish bar. Some of these bars are big, but you know, there's nothing you can do about it when the volatility is like this. You either have to skip the trade, try to get in with a limit order to follow the rules, or put your stop where it goes, which will be larger than our 2-point rule, and then go ahead and just go for a little more profit. And you can see right here we had plenty of room to that high, so you got plenty of room to make you some profit there if you did that. But bottom line is I'm still going to go through all the trades like I normally would. You know, just because it's too big a bar, we can't concern ourselves with that now. We just have to find alternative reasons to enter. So, but yeah, I'm not crazy about this one. And notice what happens. It pushes on through, pulls back, and it confirms that trend line. It actually went higher first and turning one out this side. And so that would have been a nice place to go short. I meant to talk about this one too. I don't remember if it went higher first or lower first. So that was another reason I had a little bit of concern about that one. So if it went, it really doesn't matter. It all works out. But if it went higher first and then turning one out the other side, I'd have a sell stop there and you would have gotten triggered right in. However, if it went lower first and then went higher and then traded back down, I don't know. So that's just something else to think about. This one could, I mean, literally you could argue to make it green. So, but I couldn't remember which way this one went first. So if it, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. Another reason I wanted to talk about I couldn't remember was because it might have went lower first and then it turned up, giving you that failed second entry long, and you would have had to wait to go short right at the EMA there versus if it went higher and failed and turned and went out, you could have went short just below that bar. And that changes everything. It doesn't seem like that big a deal, but that changes things because of the way it triggers our second entry and then the failure. But notice this is a double top, and then it's a first entry. It moves on down, comes back and confirms that trend line, pushes through the EMA, comes back and touches it, and it did go higher here and turns and goes down. That's a failed second entry long. Double top, you can count it as a new high. So first entry, moving down second entry, and it trapped people there. I guarantee it, because you can see how it shot down real quick. And that was a nice setup. And then we started going sideways again here. Just stay out of that. And look what happens. You make a new low, and your first entry, and then your second entry, and it actually goes lower first and turns up. I like going long right there. And quick, easy move. And then you get this huge sell-off, but you just really don't get a way to get in that one. Now, you actually could argue to enter short right here, because notice this is a double bottom. You move up first entry, then second entry. So that's a second entry short. And this is a trading range right here. And that's a lot. You could treat that like a failed break, but you generally want to wait on that lower high, because especially when there's no break of this trend line working up yet, or no close outside of it. When I say a break, I literally mean a convincing close outside that line. That's what we're really looking for. So, and we don't have that here. So this one is real iffy. You could probably argue it to be green. I'm not even going to mark it. And there's, you know, the bottom just drops out of it. But you don't know that's going to happen. And then look what happens. You make a new low, then you go first entry, and you get that second leg back, and there's your second entry short. That's not a perfect bar, but it's relatively bearish. And you could say that's a failed second entry long because there's a new high and you go first entry, pull back second entry. So in that case, we don't care about the bar. And also, this is a little congestion area. That's like a failed break higher. So you go short one tick below that bar, and your stop though has to go above the high of the swing. So that's over here above this bar right in here. One tick. If you got enough room, you might do two. But generally if you're not going, if they're going to take that one, they're going to get them both. But not always. So I honestly don't know if it makes any difference how you play it, but the key is just pick one way and always play it the same way. Otherwise, you'll guess every time and never get it right. That's one thing I've learned. If you guess every time, you'll never get it right. It's like the law of averages. Don't ask me why, but you'll never get it right. So pick one way and go with it and be consistent with it, and you'll get it right, part of the time, and you'll get it wrong occasionally too. So, but anyway, we move down. We'll start working up. First entry, we're working up. There's a second entry short right there. And again, I don't know which way it went first. I think it went lower first, but I wouldn't swear to that. So there's technically, if it went lower there first and then turned and went up, it would be a failed second entry short. But if it went, well, even if it went higher first and then turned down and went back up, it's still a failed second entry short. But you probably wouldn't have want to enter on the limit order if it went lower first and then went up. So I didn't mark that one just simply because it was right into that EMA and it made me a little bit nervous. But you really could argue for it at least be green. But what I liked waiting on better was to see when it pushed through that EMA and pulls back and tests it, and it gives you a nice, fairly bullish bar right here, and you can go long above that one. I want it, this one's tempting. One you want to think about or you might want to mark is a good trade, but you've got a lot of resistance. You've got once, twice. And so you're going long really right into a double top there. And so I just wasn't crazy about it. If it should have taken off right there. And when it did and it comes back, then you got to say, hey, something's not looking quite right. It doesn't mean it couldn't go on, but something doesn't look right. So just skip it. And you see it turns out it would turn back down. And you might, this is one, again, you might consider to go short. But again, you're better off to wait on that lower high, which comes here. And I would be drawing my trend line now. And I definitely wouldn't go short below that, whatever you want to call that bar. It's more of a neutral bar. But it does push up one more time and pull down and bounces. And I liked waiting on that one. So it's a bullish bar. You've got your two swings. If you just count those two, and then this is like a more of a confirmation and a nice bullish bar. It's probably a relatively big bar, so that might change your thinking on it. But and then of course it pushes up, pulls back, and gives you that failed second entry short. And it actually went lower there and then turned and went out the other side. Just go long there. But notice that low, you're moving up first entry, you get a second leg up, second entry, it fails and turns and goes the other way. I love those kind of trades. And you would expect that it's coming back to the upper side of this trend channel, and that's exactly where it goes to the tick and then starts working sideways, and there's nothing there you want to enter. If this was not after 2 o'clock, you might consider entering there because that's a little fail break lower. And there is a fail break higher here, but I would be more inclined to be looking for longs here since we got a trend working up. So I don't think I'd take that short. Looks like there's probably enough room. So if you want to be real aggressive, you can take it, but I'm not going to mark it. Not right at the 2 o'clock hour. It's late in the day, so a lot of things could go wrong there. So I'll leave it the way I have it. And that does it for the day. So you can see again, if as I back out, we're just really going sideways. But we did have a nice trend up, a nice trend down, and another nice trend up. And we didn't quite get to the measured move, did we? You can see we closed right in, or made the low right in there. It's a little piece away. So, but anyway, that's what we saw today, and I'm going to wrap it up and wrap it up for the week. But we'll be back again to do it Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.